frustrated with the win. As Liv Sandbox, you know, you'll kind of take a loss like this. It feels frustrating with how it all went down, but the fact that you played it this close gives you a lot of confidence, I think, now on blue side, that you might be able to bring this series to 3.
Yep, I agree. And I think that with the fact that T1 hasn't won a game on blue side, on red side just yet this season, that might give Liv Sandbox the mental edge in this one. As Melio Annie going to be taken away first here as we hop into the draft. The Nico, the obvious ban. T1 not going to let that one through again after the Chovy situation. And we'll see what they are going to continue banning away. Because I think Liv Sandbox are probably a team that's pretty happy to first pick the Zeri. I think that they are one of those.
Well, they'll ban Aphelios instead here, and it does kind of stand to reason that we might see a follow-up Yuumi ban from T1 if that's the way they want to play this one out. But really interesting because Liv Sandbox could, as you say, just first pick Zeri. If Yuumi is open, first pick the Yuumi, and then T1 might try to do the opposite side of things here, pick up the Zeri themselves. But it hasn't really been Guma's pick of choice. It's been a pick that's kind of been very absent, honestly, throughout Guma's career. Despite him having great success in Zeri's era, he hasn't really been a pivotal Zeri player. So let's see what T1 are going to ban in this final slot here. I think the Yuumi really screams high power here, high value.
True, but I don't think it's what Liv Sandbox want to play. I think if I'm Liv Sandbox, I want to pick Zeri first instead of the Yuumi.
Well, yeah, but if you pick Zeri here and then T1 pick Yuumi, you're like, cool, I have the Zeri, you have the Yuumi. Yeah. So if you ban and like if T1 pick Yuumi now, then you don't have a lot of synergy with it. You don't even have Aphelios. So T1, I think, are definitely going a different way in this draft. It might be like a Draven draft, locking in the Yuumi, and they will have the Vi, so a lot better lockdown this time around with the Cassante being the final ban here for Liv Sandbox. They take away the Yuumi, and you know how the AD carry matchup is going to go feels a little bit lopsided here potentially, but Liv Sandbox still got the Zeri, the stronger part of these two champions. Let's see what the response here is going to be jungle-wise, because Maokai is also still available. One of the best ways to prevent that Vi from closing the gap and making high-level plays in later team fights. Closers Ahri, definitely one of the big frontrunners for me, despite Teddy's pop-off performance.
Yeah. The new and improved Rel being hovered there for a moment as Kyle thinking of going back to the Nautilus. I love the Rakan in this situation, though. They are considering it. We'll see where Kyle is going to land. We know his Rakan is actually very, very strong. But,
some last-minute decisions here coming through. Will be the Nautilus once again. And, I mean, this worked out very well for Liv Sandbox in the last game, but there is an additional threat in this Vi. As the Azir once again will locked in. So in a way, we're kind of running this back here now as T1, and Liv Sandbox are happy to do the same.
Oh, I feel like Twitch should have been picked up. I feel like Twitch Yuumi would have been so good from T1
I mean, it's depends on whether Liv Sandbox ban it or not. It may still be played here. I think there's a pretty high chance it will be banned because the AD carry isn't shown thus far.
If we're going to ban away, like, classic Yuumi champions, then I guess it's, like, Lucian comes to mind.
Yeah.
Misfortune that we saw played yesterday comes to mind. There are a few things. Sivir, the other one.
For a different reason, but yeah.
And Twitch is the other one, right? And I think that Twitch into Zeri is a decent matchup, so I think that, like, Sivir Twitch is probably the go, but we'll see exactly where Liv Sandbox are feeling.
Yeah, let's see what T1 wants to lock in next here, because that Maokai is still available now with the Nocturne and the Viego bans. And yeah, it's mid Ahri, right? And it's a lot of magic damage, but I think Maokai does offer a lot in this composition. See what that ban's going to be here. I think Twitch is the easy call, but they will take away the Lucian. One that, by the way, Lucian Yuumi, even when it had moved away from being popular, oh, it's Neela.
Okay!
But, I mean, that was one that T1 would run a lot. But yeah, Neela going to be the option here for the side of T1. So there is a lot of ways, a lot of wombo here, a lot of ways to destroy the Zeri. And Teddy right now definitely feeling the pressure here. Even before this draft is complete, he knows it is not going to be the game he had in Game 1. Not the same amount of agency.
At least the early laning phase, he's going to be feeling a little bit better as Jax Sejuani. I love
Sejuani actually sneaking through this draft. I actually do like this more than the Maokai I was suggesting earlier when you consider how much power it is going to have into the Vi once you get out of those early levels. I mean, Liv Sandbox have such a great front line here. And you want to have something that sticks with this Neela composition, some more additional CC, something that's strong in the mid game, and this Aatrox really does fit the bill. Poppy, on the other hand, will be a similar idea in terms of how you can set up team fights. It's going to give you a little bit of a late game insurance policy as well in terms of setting up fights on your footing. Going to be very free laning phase here as well for the Poppy into the Jax. And that's what they're going to opt into. I like the Aatrox a lot, but the Aatrox is a lot more all-in on we're going to win this game early mid, and then there is no fallback. Whereas the Poppy, I think, still fits the theme, but is going to be, you know, if you go to a 30-minute team fight later on, you might just be able to turn that into a 5v3 briefly where the Neela gets in there, you get those kills. And it's going to be a tough laning phase here for Teddy and Kyle.
I think so. I think it's going to be even tougher for Bertle. Poppy just doesn't number to Jax. Jax does not have a very good time in that lane whatsoever. I think a lot of it comes down to whether Zeri can have some moments pretty early on in this one. Gumayusi going for the cleanse and the ghost. Still, a lot of Neelas do like to play like Ghost Flash, wanting to get the flash there with the Apotheosis, I think is what the ability is called. It's pretty cool.
It's very sick.
But it's been a while since I casted a Neela game. Last one was Jiwoo in Challenger.
And without cleanse, you run into problems into a Nautilus lane because he could just root you, and that's the end. So having the cleanse is really important to actually get those all-ins. And obviously with Neela being able to get level 6 faster, the big timing you're going to have with the Yuumi is going to be in the lane, and if you have the Vi down there as well for some additional burst and dive setup here, it just becomes so difficult. Willer has a tough job ahead of him here in this game to hold this early mid-game together. If he fails, then T1 just run away with it.
They do, and I think also, like, as far as red side drafts is concerned, this is the best use of it that we've seen from T1 so far. An actual counter pick for the top side of the map, the Poppy to be picked up into the Jax. Looks pretty scary here for Liv Sandbox. Let's see how they go as we hop onto the rift. T1 fans at full voice after their victory in game number 1, and now looking to augment that with a second win. Hold on to the top of the standings here. Of course, we're breaking a tie between these two squads here in week 2. They are neck and neck at 4th place. This will define who will be at the top and who will be towards the bottom.
Yeah, it is very important momentum-wise for both these teams here in the early season. T1's strength of schedule much harder, but to drop against arguably a much weaker team than what they've faced thus far would really hurt your momentum here as T1. And for Liv Sandbox, an opportunity to bounce back in a big way after your 1-1 start. So even though it's very early on in the season, these standings won't be indicative of what we see at the end. It is really important for keeping your early season mentality in a healthy place, especially at the beginning of a new patch.
Yeah. Here on this bottom side, Wolf, we do have a change in skin. So we've gone for the Chandelure skin for Kyle. An upgrade, I think a distinct upgrade, instead of going for the construction site Nautilus.
I like the construction one more. I think it's a downgrade.
It reminds me of Mata. I just think of Mata. I feel like it's his skin. I don't know why. It's just the one that he used to always use. But now it was Ruler last time around against Gumayusi in this exact matchup that the Neela was employed.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of Neela towards the end of the season experimented with in 2022. Sometimes it was very good, sometimes it was kind of a meme, to be totally honest, but I think this
it was
one of those
aiming, wasn't it? It was his Neela that was really good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was one of the first people to play it. We were seeing some crazy strats from T1, or rather, excuse me, from KT, but I actually like this draft quite a bit here for T1 with what they're trying to do with it. Obviously, going to hit level 2 first. And Teddy and Kyle actually weathering the storm quite nicely thus far here. So all you really want to do is survive with this composition, especially in the bottom lane.
Yep. Try and keep them at range and don't have too many issues. But, I mean, Neela wants to fight in the mid-game anyway, so I don't think the early laning phase is going to be as much of an issue. This could be, though, as they get Faker's Flash very early on. Willer thinking about sticking around for an opportunistic Winter's Wrath. Kind of like it.
Yeah, if they're able to get the stun there. Oh,
all right, in goes Gumayusi. I take it all back. Teddy's going to have to cleanse Flash, get the heck out of there. As thankfully, it's a melee champion that he's dealing with because he had basically no health. As Oner dealing with the Sejuani here.
Yeah, and Guma didn't even pop Ghost, actually, for that. So if he did, I think there's a pretty good chance that Teddy, in fact, dies there. Just barely survives with both summoners down and losing a lot of farm. And this is the timing window you have really here. You hit level 2, you go for an aggressive trade. You hit level 3, you go for the Nilah all-in. Because of Nilah's passive, you're always going to hit that first. You can see the runes here as well coming through. And, I mean, there's a lot of ways for this to then happen again at 6 before Teddy has both of his summoners back available, right? So now this lane is essentially lost here for Teddy. I mean, but this is expected. And at least that he lives makes us a somewhat salvageable situation, but still exactly what you're looking for here for Keria.
Yeah, not having a great time here, as we can see, as Oner is going to find Closer, throws his charm away and gets hit by the turret. Like, I don't know how more dead you could be. That is first blood going over to Oner.
Yeah, that was
a series of events.
Yeah.
Well, like a Lemony Snicket-esque series of events.
Yeah, that was like, was he on the phone with Dorn and just not paying attention?
I don't know.
Bit of a weird one, but at the end of the day, Oner is happy to help pick that one up. Faker had no flash, of course, and was just going to sit under turret there. Not much else I could say about this one.
Yeah.
When the replay might give us a little bit more information, but I'm kind of leaning towards probably not at this point in time.
Might be that he just straight up didn't see him for a very long time, as now Teddy and Kyle trying to fight with this bottom lane, but the Nautilus not really finding the value. You hit a hook and then lose the trade. Doesn't feel fantastic, especially with Jubilant Veil giving you so much survivability in these moments.
Now, one of the threats, it was a scary time to go to a replay. This is from his perspective. Yeah, he just appears to not notice and then realizes that he's like, well...
30.
Sorry, yeah. It was just a bit of a mistake there, not quite seeing him until it was too late. But great position there from Oner to make sure that he gets the kills. Just in the observer client, you know, here spectating, it looked a little bit funny there. Glad we got to see it from Closer's perspective.
I'm actually glad we're more willing to nowadays show the perspective of the player who got killed rather than the player who is killed, to sometimes see the real, like, what was he looking at moment, because sometimes that does happen. Players are human.
Yep.
Of course, he has the wherewithal not to flash, knows that it's going to be useless, but still not a great look, as with the bot prio here, it looked like Oner wanted to maybe start up this Herald, or rather, excuse me, Drake. He's not going to actually commit.
And Willa's position was completely known, that ward around the corner.
Yeah.
Very, very strong.
Very clean. And this is going to be a plate going over to Keria here, as they continue to be ahead in experience. I think Teddy has farmed this out pretty well, considering that he had to back early, finding himself only a few CS down. And one of the things I was going to mention before we had that replay is that one of the biggest things that Live Sandbox have going for them in this draft is that even if T1 find themselves at, like, say, a 2,000 gold lead in the mid-game, if they continue to push these advantages, they have a Jax that can side lane and will eventually start to be very annoying to deal with here as Poppy, and that's going to be able to buy time for Zeri to be online. So the critical thing is, don't die, right? You could fall a little bit behind naturally in lane, lose some plates to the Nilah, just try not to get killed by that next all-in at level 6. Birdall.
Oh dear.
This could be a problem.
It could, as Birdall is able to leap strike his way out. Not going to set up the steadfast presence in time, and you can see Oner not wanting to go for any sort of gank. Zeus just picks up the farm and isn't going to have to deviate from that particular path. As Teddy on a ward once again, Prowling Projectile is going to miss him there, as Vision has been very clean here for T1. They know everything that's going on everywhere by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's been a very strong start here. Willer going to clear this scuttle. Level 6 is going to be the next big moment for both of these junglers, of course, where you could see ganks in mid. Could have seen a heavier commitment, obviously, for Oner on the top side if he had level 6 there against Birdall, but still staying on level 5.
Yes. Birdall actually going to ult here, as Zeus going to be able to find his ultimate as well, and that is going to spell the end of that particular engagement.
Yeah, trade up for Zeus, man. Deny some of that CS.
Yeah, there we go.
Turret's getting some work done.
It does mean that for this fight in 20 seconds, potentially around the Herald, there won't be an ultimate from the Poppy, so I mean, maybe that's a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's going to be too much of an issue.
Well, T1 are going to start this Drake up right now, and because Faker has such insane prio in mid, so that hook's going to miss, there's just no way that they could turn this into a cross map on the Herald early. Ults are traded, and yes, Birdall has the advantage, but Willer was bottom side, does go back and buys 2 control wards here for sitting up on this Herald. They really want to force a fight on this, but it's a Neela comp, right? And level 6 is hit. Teddy is cowering under the turret, and it's very difficult for Liv Sandbox to actually commit to this fight here. They do have some good vision around the Herald, but taking it is another story. I think T1 are just happy to say, you can't start it, so we're just going to keep pushing the edge here on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, I really, really like this from T1. Keeping that pressure high and knowing that they have that level 6 advantage. Level 7, in fact, for the bottom lane here of T1, utilizing that passive.
6 is up. I mean, this is an all-in opportunity.
Yep, Kyle does have the depth charge as Teddy finally hits his ult. And now, can T1 make this one happen? They dive forward. He's just in a bouncy castle, but they're unable to finish him off. Oner is going to be taken down. Keria is dead as well. It's a double for the Zeri as Gumayusi's still at full health, but it's 2 kills on Teddy.
Now, it's really critical that Guma lives here because now he can, of course, continue to try to push advantages here on the bottom side of the map, and Teddy is losing a lot of CS. Cross-map Willer did eventually get the Herald. It took a long time here, but ideally you want to get these kills here without losing anybody as T1, and Kyle does have his ultimate available, does buy a ton of time as Nautilus. This is one of the picks we saw with Zeri all the time because, first of all, you deny the Nautilus pick to your opponent. Back in the old days, Nautilus was the oldest counter, but it also allows you to defend dives so incredibly well with his root passive. So it's really easy in the early game when turret shots are landing on everybody to trade at least a kill back. He gets 2, Teddy does, in this case, and that puts him much closer now to that Trinity Force. I won't certify this one, but it's certainly a bit of a mistake here with how this execution went for T1.
Yeah, I think the Zeri exists again with those couple of kills. He is still down 25 CS, so you're still not exactly psyched about it, but let's have a look at this one more time as Teddy hits level 6 just before the play. And
Nautilus double knock-up, Root comes through, Oner takes too much damage, Keria is Yuumi, so he is just naturally going to die. He doesn't have the ability to attach there to Guma.
Oh, he actually attached to Guma and and then Guma died immediately.
Yeah. 좋아요.
I got scared about what was happening in picture-in-picture there, but
oh, speaking of getting scared.
I should be scared.
Yeah. Oner is, okay, ring around the rosy. We played this game before, Bertle, pretty good at it, and let's see how this one's going to... okay, well, walking. Walking's going to do it. Walking is the strategy. And Bertle went fishing and got himself a Vi. That is successfully landed.
Yeah, I mean... Huh.
Yeah.
It's the second time he's done that this game, where he's just able to run circles around Oner, quite literally. And now Oner's going to miss Willer, it looks like, that is to say.
Well, Sejuani going to make it into the brush. Spots
each
out
other.
this Vi. There's the Glacial Prison. They waste 0 time, and that is a dead Vi. Gorgeous play from Liv Sandbox.
And I'm not entirely sure what the idea here is for Oner. Like, who is he looking for there? You're not going to be able to get the all-in on the Sejuani. Ahri is missing. Yeah, Faker has prio, but he's not blocking the Ahri from coming up. And, I mean, Oner didn't need to, like, flash the wall if he doesn't stick around there, but he sticks around for way too long. It's a great engage from Willer. He just sees his angle, doesn't miss. And what turned into being a failed gank top, or failed, you know, hover, lurk, whatever you want to call it, Bertle gets away, he doesn't commit, but then the follow-up here is just so easy from Willer. Hits the ultimate there, and Faker does not prevent Closer's rotation.
Yeah, Closer having enough pressure in that mid lane, lands another one of these charms. Guy's been playing very, very well. So, T1 ahead by a few hundred gold. But honestly, like,
it starts to wonder. Yeah, you start to wonder if it's enough.
Yeah, and like, this is the thing, right? Like, this series on paper looks like it should be a very comfortable 2-0 for T1. Like, that's what we would be talking about if this was, you know, last season. But so far, Liv Sandbox have been making it extraordinarily competitive, and it's a great look. This was a squad that we didn't have exactly high hopes for moving into this particular season. So really good to see here from Liv Sandbox. See whether they can keep it up and actually take a victory.
So Oner, he stays around here for so long. There's, of course, a Scuttle Crab here. And, you know, I take it back. He definitely would have had to flash the wall there. Went over the wall, so had no way out. Just kind of a peculiar choice there. Decides, of course, that he thinks he might be able to get out fast enough. And maybe just a miscommunication between him and Faker, not communicating that Closer is coming up. You need to flash this wall or you're dead. He does not, so... a bit of a mistake there, and you know, Liv Sandbox did also disappoint us in week 1 of the... Okay, hold that thought.
That's a hook. Gumayusi is going to walk into them. Arctic Assault is fantastically timed, but the Apotheosis is too good. Oner is going to be here.
The turn.
And look at how much time the Jubilant Veil bought into the Zeri goes the Vi, and yeah, she explodes, but it's her health bar that's going to go down the majority of the way. And T1, oh man, glorious counterplay.
Yeah, I mean, you try to engage on Anila, she could turn that around so quickly with a Yuumi on her back especially. And this is a bit of a mistake here. Lots of gold back into the hands of T1 as Kyle trying to make something happen here, clear this wave as fast as he can.
Yeah, just some turret shots being soaked there by Keria as Oner on this Chemtech Drake. Second of the game, going to go over to T1, and they're going to grab the first turret as well here on this bottom side.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah, this Neela Yuumi situation is working out extraordinarily well for this team thus far as Zeus gets himself into position. Won't have the heroic charge now as Emperor's Divide is leapt away from, but I don't know whether that is going to be the solution he's looking for. Gets himself the Counter-Strike and leaps away. What is this? Bertle didn't have flash, and he almost manages to get away.
Almost buys enough time
towards this top side, but not going to be there in time. And I'm going to give that to Bertle. That was a great play.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was going to say. Like, we got a little bit disappointed with Live Sandbox in week 1 of spring. We were a little bit baited, and then they actually ended up being a top 3 team for the majority of the season. And once again, we're seeing a big bounce back from them here in this series. And Bertle, in particular, has really leveled up. You know, he's looking very clean thus far, has made very few mistakes, and is also laning extremely well, sneaking out of several dire situations, almost a third one here. And you have Willer here, but of course Oner is nearby, and look at how tanky this Neela ends up being. Apotheosis going to help you survive this with the triple, and Oner shows up, flashes in, all you do is point click on the Zeri, and this is a one fight. And if you knew the Vi wasn't nearby, I think you'd feel a lot better about this, but committing when Oner's in the vicinity and you have no idea, it's a mistake.
Gumayusi having a pretty good time here on this Neela towards his bottom side, and oh, that W. Sometimes, you know, you get outskilled by the kid of a champion, and that was exactly an example of that. As Bertle,
yeah, Bertle's outskilling over here too. He's still gonna die, but
he did the best that he could, and then he just takes a buckler to the head.
Yeah, of the 3 players in the top lane, his play was most impressive in that moment.
Well, we're going to see a bit of a battle here as Willer is going to be able to take the Rift Herald, but they throw away the Ahri, and now Willer is just dead, donated for the good of the colony. They're not going to be able to grab the eye here either. So it is a bit of local gold collected here by Live Sandbox. That's nicely done. However, they lose their Sejuani, and T1 retain control of the map. 2,000 gold, approximately the lead for them, as well as Zeus now making his way into the enemy jungle. Faker, oh, he was thinking about going over to clear out that ward. That could have been his death, as Teddy and Kyle trying to get on in here as Oner once again on a little bit of a mission. He ults, he does get charmed, but there's the slowdown from the Everfrost. There's the flash forward from Bertle as well. They should be able to grab this kill. There it is. Closer locks that one up. So Oner having a little bit of a suspicious one so far here today.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a rough
outside of that,
one.
T1 looking good, especially on the bottom side.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a rough one for him. I think Live Sandbox really trying to thread the needle on the timing of getting this Herald before the rest of T1 show up, because it's 100% a fight T1 wants to take. They have Neela, they have an accelerated Neela with Gale Force, mind you, at this point in time, so it's a great fight for them to take, but they successfully do take said fight. Willer is isolated and killed, as we'll take a look at here, but then they try to force a play topside, and that's where things get a little bit wonky. Is now it's a fight where, with that ultimate coming through from Zeus, Willer is all alone. You can't re-engage here into Guma. He did, you know, does not have the Apotheosis on cooldown, even though the UI is showing otherwise. And then they want to stick around here to try to get this whole top turret, and Vi is trying to set a trap on anyone who rotates over. But you gotta know everybody's in the vicinity here, because that's exactly what you're trying to set for a trap on. Is like, okay, maybe half of them went back, right? But no, if you're gonna commit to the top turret, they won't go back. They will come over and check, and then just delete you.
Yeah, just a little bit out of position there was Oner. Not quite up on the play. But that is going to mean Live Sandbox get 1 kill back, but it is the entire bottom lane outer turret that was secured already by this Neela, who is 50 CS ahead. Like, Gumayusi is so much stronger than Teddy right now, it is kind of absurd, as he does have his Gale Force complete as well. Extra mobility here for the Neela is frightening, to say the least. Seen quite a few different builds, but it was Jiwoo that was coming up with these Neela builds. So
yeah.
Radiant Virtue was one of the examples of a mythic that he put together. Of course, the items have changed since we've really seen his Neela in action. So good to see what is going to be the adjustments on the particular build.
Yeah, we did see a lot of Collector, obviously, on Neela, too, back in the day, a second. You know, we saw Gale Force. We've seen even Kraken Slayer. I don't think it's what you want to be doing, but we have seen it.
Old Bloodthirster was
Bloodthirster,
so good as well.
yeah. Shield Bow, obviously super strong for what she's trying to do. Not too dissimilar to what Samira can do in the beginning of a team fight. Samira looking for a little bit more longevity. This should be the mid turret going down, but can Liv Sandbox find a punish? The answer is no, because just don't have any engage set up here, unfortunately. And T1 still in control of the game, still in control of the map, and are going to look for Soul Point here on this Cloud Drake. And I think there's nothing that Liv Sandbox could do about it. But I think that might just be okay here if they can, of course, pick up some gold here for this Zeri while they take the Drake. Closer, unfortunately, not going to be able to get this bounty here, but they just need to buy more time. It's 1,000 gold, nearly the lead for Guma.
Oh, Zeus might face check in here as there it is. Closer now, looking to close in. No pun intended. Lands the charm. There's the teleport. As Faker is going to come through as well. Heroic charge to keep Willa busy. Kyle is definitely the tasty target. They do get the depth charge out of him. He should be able to back away. Liv Sandbox using everything defensively. They will be able to successfully alleviate the situation, and they get a teleport. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, teleport used for Faker. They get away. Now Jax is in the side by himself, so they've forced T1 all to the top side. Now Birdall's playing around bottom side. Will they get a trap here onto Faker? He did not go crown this game. A little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah,
I don't...
Okay, well, in they go. Closer doesn't quite find the value he's looking for, and that is a two-man Emperor's Divide. Faker now calls in the cavalry as Zeus was teleporting, and they'll get the knock-up. And Faker says, not on my watch, not today. The flash from Zeus. Blast Cone going to get Willa relatively far away. Winter's Wrath, but there is a gameplay button you can press, and Cease and Desist will say no. Gumayusi going to find Kyle, and Kyle's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not messing with you.
Yeah, I mean, the trap was set, but T1 were all on the top side of the map, and they also, of course, still had that teleport from Zeus. Okay, Liv Sandbox are going off the deep end of this game. Now going to teleport into this fight. Let's see if we can see a big counter-strike from Birdall. He did not teleport onto Vision.
If there's ever a time to fight, it's with Willa around a Baron. But they don't have Willa, so it's going to be very, very difficult already. Stopwatch has to be used. Into the backline goes Gumayusi, and he just eliminates Teddy. Faker is going to go down, but I think that's a worthy sacrifice here to kill everybody else. Closer slinks away, so it's not everyone. And of course, Willa wasn't there, but that is successful take of the Baron.
I mean, that is now such a lead for T1. I just don't think we even get to have the conversation about Zeri scaling anymore. You know, it's just, you had the opportunity to, instead of trying to trap Faker, push bottom. You pulled everyone T1 top side. Closer also perhaps in a little bit of trouble here. Oner's ult not up yet, but almost.
Yep, that is Spirit Rush, so Closer not going to die just yet. But still, they just wanted to grab themselves the inner turret before they go for a reset.
So before this play here, look at where Birdall is on the bottom side of the map. You could have hard pushed and tried to say, all right, we pulled everybody top side. Let's see if we can get maybe some bounty gold bottom side, play it slow, get some Baron vision up here on the top side. They try to set a trap. Yes, TP is committed, but Oner's still nearby. This ends up being a disaster. Then after this play, where of course ultimately Willer is killed, they decide to fight the Baron when T1 have ultimate control here with a fed Neela who has a Collector. And it's all reliant on Birdall's engage here over the wall. He teleported, there was no vision, but they failed.
Man.
And the damage is real here. And then they could have also tried to push elsewhere during this fight and just said, all right, well, T1's not Baron, but we're going to scale. Now you can't scale. Now you have no opportunities on the map. And Baron, plus the advantages they won in that team by pushing everybody off the map, feels like it's all over, but the cry in here is Closer is trying to pick up finally some bounty gold, but it's too little too late.
It absolutely is. Out of turret top lane is not really going to do anything, especially with Gumayusi just whipping down these turrets in the mid lane. Birdall trying his best here, but the Poppy very happy to stand up to him, has the best damage item in the game now completed. Jackshow and his Sunfire Cape are in his back pocket, and Liv Sandbox, yeah, it just feels a bit hopeless. If the Neela has ultimate available and the ability to press that Jubilant Veil button, then it just feels like they can do anything that they want and always have the ability to win these fights. T1, it's a great draft.
Yeah, he has no agency because Oner has ult, right? You know,
that's onto Faker. It's a decent hit there as he gets charmed as well. Birdall looking for the counter-strike. Emperor's Divide defensively is very, very nice. Is now Oner trying to get out of there. Gumayusi still has ultimate, but they don't have the final chapter, and it looks like T1 are going to have to back away for now.
Yeah, they already had that bottom inhibitor down. They wanted to get a little bit more here. Nice play from Willer. It does land on the Faker to try to push them back. No punish going to come through. Oh, I say that.
Yeah, Faker actually backing a little bit late there, as now everybody is rushing after the Pigeon. Will the Azir survive? Has to flash the extendo beam.
Willer obviously used his ult. Can he get into range here?
I think so. Arctic Assault going to come through here as Shifting Sands. Beautifully done. Faker is going to get to his outer turret.
Oh no, the Neil is coming.
Going to turn up. Teleport in as well as Faker. He can go home and then teleport back if he'd like to. Everfrost was decent, but I don't know whether this is going to be it. Oh my goodness, the combination of the Apotheosis and the Steadfast Presence is like, I'm going to pull you in. And by the way, you can't get out.
And I think really Live Sandbox in this game tripping over themselves quite a bit in terms of the macro plays and trying to punish in these side lanes is really going to cost them big. I mean, it's costed them the game essentially here already unless we see a miracle. Willer going to be the last to fall here, but look at the push in mid. That's going to be the second inhibitor here for T1. Closer's not up for 15. Teddy up in 10. Doesn't have his Titanic just yet, and that's going to be T1 also casually picking up this Cloud Soul. And you're hard chasing an Azir, and you have committed so many members already. Faker gets delayed here because of the later back. He's on vision, but he's Azir. Dashes through. This dash is used so early. And the extendo beam with the turret here, it's a nice touch from Teddy because he's like, all right, maybe I get this slow here. That's the choice. That's the timing Faker flashes because he knows I should have my dash with my shuffle in just a few additional seconds. If I can get to that turret, I'm massive. He's also then calming to everybody else. They're way over chasing here. We've got a Neela who's super fed. She can Apotheosis wombo this team. And Teddy just can't do anything in these situations without a front line, and you're already way overextended.
Those two circles together is it just feels unfair, is what it is. But honestly, like, I'm okay with the play from Liv Sandbox. They're so far behind. You just got to go for whatever you can find. And right now, 2 inhibitors down, circling the drain here are the cool kids that never panic. 8,000 gold the lead. Cloud Soul, the best soul in the game as well. How does T1 roll the dice so effectively in these games is the question. I say that after it was a Chemtech soul in the last game, but still, this time around, definitely getting rewarded. And at least this game, Wolf, it's going to be a very easy player of the game.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the guy that does the spinning around with the whippy thing, and you give it to him.
What about this helicopter spinning, whipping around thing?
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's that.
No, I'm going with Guma myself.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's a nice ultimate that we see just there, as Closer is going to get ceased and desisted. As Gumayusi was dealing with the top inhibitor turret, does manage to sort that one out, as now Bertle fighting with the Neela. Closer going to go down as a bit of an afterthought here, as Oner trying to get out of here. He's like, I bought the time, guys. You just go and kill everyone, as Teddy might be able to grab the kill onto him. There it is. There is at least one for Liv Sandbox as Faker put up the Emperor's Divide. I don't know who he was trying to hit with it, but maybe he was just using it for fun.
I mean, Bertle got bashed.
Was it Willa or was it Bertle that died to that one?
Bertle, I believe, died to it, and one additional auto there from the Sand Soldier. Kyle, the last to fall. And yeah, it was a close game 1. Game 2, not so much.
Yeah, it was close until the series really wasn't. And I think the bottom lane had so much to do with it. 7-0-7 on this Neela.